Still going. All right. Setting up. Any minute. All right. I'm going to go with it must be live, and maybe it's another window that I'm not seeing. Set a reminder. What's the reminder for? Oh my goodness. All right. Too many open screens. So here we are. It's Kurt, your host of the Mañana morning check-in. And once again, it is not the morning check-in. This is early evening. And well, you know what? It's just been an amazing last 2 days. So one of the folks that I work with, Lifter LMS, was kind enough, right, to sponsor me for some training in something called the SaaS Academy, right? SaaS is software as a service. And I've been helping Lifter LMS and their community with making some decisions on, what to do with membership and learning websites and packages and things like that. And so Chris and the team signed me up for the SaaS training. It was 2 intense days. It's called an intensive. So I guess the intense days make sense that I would call it intense. So I'm here in the workspace, here in the work area, and a couple of things that I want to cover right away is this was top-notch training. Just because it was virtual and not in person somewhere does not negate the value of the training in any way, shape, or form. Dan, the gentleman that runs the organization, sent all kinds of swag. I got a journal. I got a really nice workbook. It's not color inside. Oh, it is color. It's got some color pages, right? And so, but it's a great workbook. The curriculum was well thought out. It was obviously planned in advance because, the workbook and the journal, worksheets. My goodness, they sent worksheets. There was a water bottle that they had sent, a jump rope, a tension, one of those rubber band things you use when you're doing CrossFit. They sent that. And here's why. They sent all the stuff. And then on the second day, they actually opened with a workout. So now it was 4:15 in the morning for me because I'm in California and they're on the East Coast. But at 4:15 in the morning, I was in the workspace here doing a full CrossFit workout with a coach and the whole thing. And man, it was good stuff. So they had one that was yoga, so that they had breakout rooms. They had one breakout room that was yoga, one that was CrossFit, and one that was about nutrition. And I, of course, jumped into the CrossFit. I thought broken collarbone and all, I can muscle out some burpees or something if I have to. And I did, and it worked out just fine. But what a quality thing. Now, when I do this type of training, I look at it like, what can I share with my team? What can I share with my group? What can I share with my community? And I will tell you, there was information in here on, strategies for running a successful social group, right? Whether it's a LinkedIn group or a Facebook group. And I'll be honest with you, there's things in there where I'm looking at it, I go, yeah, I know that, but I don't do that. I know that, but I don't do that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all, and so it's a reminder that, you need to install some best practices in your business. Just like I talk about best practices for power sports, I need to have best practices for how I engage with you, right? I need to give you the best Kurt that I can give you. I need to give you the best Mañana no Mas that I can give you. I need to give you the best representation of John Maxwell training that I can give, right? And so there was that. Now, one thing that was resoundingly cool about the training for me, because this was my first time doing this type of intensive with a group like this, there was over 130 software as a service professionals, okay? And so an element that I really took away from this, so you'll say, what are your main takeaways? Whenever you do training, you should have a main takeaway. You should have something that jumps out to you, like what's making a difference for me at this moment with this content. And as we broke into different groups and things, one was on marketing, one was on social, one was on, growing a sales plan. There were all these different elements, all these different breakouts. What I came to realize is I am a membership and learning expert. I'm a membership and learning expert. As other people in the SaaS community were communicating with each other, I realized I got this. I got this. I'm an expert in, as far as this room's concerned, I'm dialed. I can lend value to this one, and this one, right? Then we got into social strategy and groups, and where I found that people in the SaaS community were lacking were on things like content development, right? Content republishing, redistribution, editing video, right? Different sources to use for making branded video, and why have a branded video, right? Like why are bumpers and trailers important if you're making this type of content? And so I was able to lend value. Again, in that situation was like, I'm lending value here, here, and here. And that to me was very confidence inspiring, very boosting, right? Big takeaway for a thing that I'm missing, and maybe something that I'll start to develop within some of these groups that I run through the Mañana Nomás portal is, I recognize I'm great at building stuff. I'm great at like orchestrating the theory behind it, or, putting things together that make sense, that might not make sense to other people. Really gifted in that area. Where I'm not gifted is assigning a dollar value to those types of things. For instance, if you take a look at Power Sports Academy is a multi-phase plan, right? So the first phase was building it, right? So the first phase was building it within the Mañana Nomás frame set and building a community in there, right? So it was, okay, I'm going to let you use this product for free. You're going to build community. You're going to become part of my proof of concept moving forward so that I can charge people for this and know that it works, right? So we did the proof of concept phase 1. Then we did phase 2, introductory pricing. We let people in for $1,500 for a year's worth of training, 26 live support calls, and to get people into that circle, right? Again, it was like proof of concept for payment, okay? Then we went to phase 3. Phase 3, we moved to a dedicated website called this Power Sport Academy, and we raised the price. So now instead of $1,500, it's $3,495, right? So for $3,495, you can sign up your service advisor, and they can get a year's worth of training, right? They get the subscription to my content for the year, and then they get the 26 live support calls, right? Those live support calls are invaluable. The last live support call I did netted a dealer $130,000 in found business. So when you say, well, why am I paying you $3,500? Well, because your guy spent an hour with me and I gave him $130,000 worth of advice. That's why you're spending $3,500. And so, but if I take a look at that value proposition, did I place myself properly in the value structure of things? What is phase 4, phase 5, and phase 6 going to look like? I'll tell you, I don't think I'm going to keep offering, training that's given dealers $500, $600, $800,000 in value. Not to mention that's dollars, right? Return on investment is just a small part of the value package, which also came up in this intensive, right? You have a value package, and out of that value package, only a certain amount is dollars oriented, right? There's the piece of having good internal communication. There's the piece of knowing you've established process. There is a flow. There is a tranquility and savings that comes from, reducing your employee turnover, things like that. And so, will I continue to offer this service at $34.95 a year? I'm telling you right now, phase 4 is going to be another increase in price. And it's not so much that I need to see how much I can strip somebody's wallet clean, but if people don't assign the proper value to something, they don't have the value it takes, right? So paying customers become happy customers, right? Because they realize they've paid for something, they get the value for it, and they establish a value internally for themselves moving forward. So that's something that I've really come to grips with here. And it for me, it comes to other things. Like, how do I spend my time day to day to day? And then what dollar value do I assign to that? Now, I'm really good. There you go. I'm really good at assigning those values in the service department to mechanics and service writers and service managers. However, I wasn't really good, and I'm being transparent with you, maybe too much, but I wasn't really good at assigning those values to my own efforts, behaviors, or skills, right? So for instance, there's a thing here. He talks about these capture cards where he comes away with things, right? So it's like, if I got better at running my online groups, if I was able to scavenge net contacts and leads through my online groups better, that could be worth $250,000 for me, right? Because I'd be establishing a pathway to take users in my online groups and funnel them towards my paid offerings, right? That could be worth $250,000 a year to me. Different things like there's things that in the sales process that I could automate that I choose to do manually. I like to be able to see the emails come in from you. I like to communicate with you, routine. Like when you get a response from me, it's a response from me. But let's face facts. You might be like, what do I do if my PayPal payment doesn't go through? Or what do I do? Like for people I build websites for, right? What do I do if this plugin doesn't work? What do I do if, this needs an update? What do I do if, and I should have automated responses for those things. I should say, hey, not a problem. We've got full support for that. Fill in this ticket and I'll get back to you within 12 hours, right? That should be how I should handle that. And instead, I do that manually. So if I take a look at that time, I go, oh, wait a minute, I could probably do this more efficiently, make my customers happier, and net myself more cash flow, more profit, right? So there was all kinds of things like that. How to clarify your market and who are you selling to and who are your customers. Here's a great example in the Power Sport. Again, Power Sport Academy. It comes up a lot because it's a big focal point for me. But in the Power Sport Academy, I know service writers and service managers. I know technicians, right? And so service writers and service managers are the people that I train most. Technicians are the ones that net the best benefit from that training because their job becomes so much easier when the service writer knows what to do at the counter, right? So I train service writers and service managers. The technicians get the best benefit for that, in an immediate fashion. And then the dealer owner gets the benefit of, internal communication, better sales for parts and labor, better profits, things like that. But those are things he sees on a spreadsheet 30, 60, 90 days down the road, right? Here's the problem. Who makes the decision to hire me for training? Well, the owner does. I have a relationship with service writers, service managers, and technicians. They don't make the decision to hire me. Their boss does. So when I'm creating content for service writers and service managers talking about making their life easier, that doesn't matter because they're not the ones buying my services. Their boss buys my services. And then once I can get into their shop and work directly with them, they get the benefit of that training, right? Does that make sense? So I need to do a better job of clarifying my market. I need to do a better job of clarifying who I'm actually selling to. And that's something I've been actively working on, but something that really became cemented through this training in the last couple of days. There's a few other things in here. And I think over the next few lives, I'll cover some things like, matching your customer's point of view before you try and market something. As you guys well know, because I've been teasing you pretty bad about it. I'm working on a new product. I'm working on a new network that will allow people to get their product, to get their stuff online quickly, cheaply, and minimize the thought that goes into having to build a project. And here's why. I'm a web guy. And every time I talk to somebody and they say, this is what I want to do with my business, I go, hey, not a problem. We could build you a quick website for that. Boom, boom, boom. But well, how much would that cost? Well, $15,000 if you want to do this, this, and this. If you want to build it yourself, you could probably do it for $5,000. If you want to do, if you want to hire somebody with graphics, we could do this. And I start giving them too much. People want to focus on what they want to do, right? If you're a public speaker, you want to focus on speaking, not building a website. If you want to sell auto parts, you want to focus on inventory and selling auto parts. You don't want to focus on the algorithm or how to SEO your website, right? And so I decided that I was going to put some of this brain power that I've got into designing tools that people would be able to readily plug into to answer those needs. And what's completely ironic about this is the moment I made the decision to go in that direction, two strong power partners stepped up and said, what are you doing? I want to be a part of that. And that's super, super cool, because that's the first time in my life that I said, hey, I want to build a new project. And people went, I'm in, I'll help you. Usually what happens is people think they have an idea and they come to me and ask for my help. And then they try to figure out how to get me to do stuff for them for free, right? In this instance, I'm already building something. I'm building something for me. And two other power partners step in and go, what do you need help with? How can we get a seat at the table? Thanks for letting me have a seat at the table. This is going to be awesome. And a couple of those companies are fantastic. I cannot wait to promote the living wheels out of them when this thing hits the ground. Proof of concept, I'm thinking, is really just 6 weeks to 2 months away. I've made some really great strides on it. And if it works in the niche that I'm releasing it in, I plan on duplicating the systems to be able to handle other niches. So I'll be able to handle people like I have that group, the Hybrid Speaker Coach Trainer Network, right? Hybrid Speaker Coach Trainer Network. You look on LinkedIn, you look on Facebook, you'll find it there, the Hybrid Speaker Coach Trainer Network. And what I preach in there is events are shut down, right? There are groups like, my goodness, Jake Ballantyne's group is fantastic. He's got 9,000 people in it, or 11,000 people. I can't remember. He's got a lot of people, right? I don't have a lot of people, but Jake Ballantyne has a lot of people in his group, and he tells people how to be great speakers, trainers, authors, coaches. And he's really, really, really good at that. Okay. But what I preach is a hybrid example of that. And by that, I mean, I'm really good at taking, like, how do we split your content up, right? You might, like, if you listen to the guy with the stages talk, right? Pete Vargas. If you listen to Pete Vargas, you're going to have a signature talk. You're going to have, if you're a public speaker, you're going to have a signature talk. You're going to have, a lane that you stay in, right? So whether it's like fitness or business or leadership or, you know what I'm saying? You have a subject matter that you're kind of focused on. So you'll have that. And then you'll have a couple of elements that are a great preview of what you would do at a live event. So what if you took those previews and you build them into a website and you give people access to your signature talk and your preview subjects, and you give people a working sample of that stuff? Maybe you even build in a couple of courses that you can sell to people so that you can take their base knowledge of something that you're going to speak on, and you can grow their base knowledge so that when you give the speech, you can really deliver the high energy stuff, right? So let's say that we start to do that. We build these hybrid models out. Now, what if we build a hybrid model where you can actually integrate the Zoom into that product, right? So then you could say, here's my signature talk. Here's a couple of samples of my stuff. Here's a course on what I'm going to lead with at our live event. And by the way, the live event is scheduled for this date and time, right? And then at that date and time, your customer, your audience signs back into that, clicks that at that date and time, and boom, Zoom opens up right out of your site, and you're given a live virtual presentation, right? And with COVID and events being shut down all over the place, this is exactly what people need. Now, here's the problem. Someone that's into public speaking or coaching, do they want to be a web guy? Chances are they don't. And I know this to be so because I have advised many of my friends in that lane to do that, and they've chosen not to. And they've gone after things like Udemy or Kajabi or LearnDash, even Lifter LMS, which is a company I work with, but they're not web people. They don't even, a lot of them don't even really understand how to split their content between curriculum and presentation, right? Because they're used to being in a presentation mode. So they're not really sure, like, what content do I break out and make static, and what content do I keep dynamic, right? And so these are the types of things that if I template this out for people, it'll make it easier for them to engage, or easier for them to get where they want to go. So when I sell these types of products, when I sell, an online platform to do this, this, and this for you, I'm not going to sell you technology. I'm not going to say, oh, I built it on this platform with this tool, and if you become an expert in this, you'll be able to leverage that. And, that's not what people want that I'm talking to in these fields. What people want is they want to be able to go, this is my website, enter, right? And then they want to be able to engage with their people. They want to have the most frictionless experience of getting from their workspace virtually to the minds of the people that are watching them. And I have the tools and the mindset to make that a reality. And so much of this, and I know that I'm probably talking too much. I'm probably giving away too much in this live, but I'm very, very excited about how this will roll. And like I said, once we serve our proof of concept niche and then see that it's something that's duplicable, well, then we will start to create different platforms for the different niches that make sense. And like I said, I don't want to sell you technology. I want to sell you a pathway, right? I want to sell you a pathway to success. And I don't see why we can't make that happen. There's not a better time. For decades, I've always been way ahead of the curve, and it's been more of a curse than a blessing, right? And I've said this before. I had an online store selling performance motorcycle parts and stuff like that before having an online store was popular. Everybody said, where's your brick and mortar building? Where's your storefront? We need to send a rep to your location, and we need to verify your store before you can be a distributor, right? So this would happen all the time. And I ended up carrying products that were like bizarre, like extraneous, right? Like people were like, what's that? It's a company. I carry their stuff. But and I tried to stick with it as long as I could. And then I was like, everyone keeps telling me I'm crazy, right? And now look, here we are 15 years later, and people are buying all their motorcycle parts on Amazon and eBay and Revzilla and all of these sources that are online sources. I was there 15 years ago and I dropped the ball, right? I had an online power sports magazine where I was getting press releases from all the major manufacturers and racing outlets, and I was regurgitating that information in an online magazine, all lined out and pushing notifications to people back in 2005, right? Again, people said, when is your magazine going to go to print? When can I buy your magazine off the rack in Barnes and Noble? You're not a real publication until we see a glossy printout, right? And this was following me. The stigma was following me from event to event to event. And it finally got to the point where my wife and I had a real conversation and said, this isn't generating any cash flow. It's a cool hobby, but let's just let this go, right? And now look, all the print magazines are closed up. Asphalt and Rubber is one of the #1 magazines out right now, and it's all online. Look at Cycle World, Cycle News, all of the ones that we followed for so long and bought and kept in boxes in our garages for all those years, right? All that stuff is online or completely shut down now. And I kept missing that window because I was too far ahead. If anything good came out of COVID for me and my family, it's that my vision of taking everything online, like before COVID broke out, I took everything online on purpose. Then COVID happened, and I thought, I'm in the right place at the right time. I can't believe it. It finally worked out, right? When I took the Power Sports Academy and I loaded that into Mañana no Mas and I launched that officially in January, people kept saying, when are you going to come to my dealership? Where are you going to hold your training sessions at? And I kept saying it's online. Like, you have so much work to do at your dealership before you get you got to get your people to here before we do any kind of workshop and pay for travel and bring people together and take things to the next step, right? We're so far behind, right? We got to go from here to here. Now, once we get a bulk of people to here, well, then sure, let's talk about doing live workshops and things like that. And by then, maybe we can go back to that kind of example. I love being in the classroom. I love working with people. I love pressing the flesh, shaking hands, and even hugging some of the technicians I know, right? But if we're going to take a look at your business and we're going to take a look at what helps your business grow, not paying for travel, not paying for rental cars, not paying for hotels, and having your people in the shop working, more time than traveling is what's going to help your business the most. And that's why I built the model that I built with the Power Sport Academy, right? So we got this thing dialed. New projects are coming. Super, super stoked. I want to give you all the details in the world, but I can't. I've got a working sample right now that I'm playing with, and it is cool. There are a lot of features. There's a lot of details. There's a lot of things I still need to plug in and build this the way that I think it's going to work best for you. But, you know, to see what to me is new technology, right? It's been out for a while, but what to me is new technology, and to know that I'm still staying ahead of the curve and I'm still, you know, that membership and learning expert that I say that I am, right? Because I'm making this. This is cool. This is a lot of fun. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what we can do together over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. And regardless of what COVID does, this is an opportunity for us to up the game. So I'm going to go because I'm getting too excited. I've been talking too much. I listen to way too many inspirational people in my SaaS Academy training. And, you know, I've got a software company I'm helping in the mornings. I've got a marketing company that I like to network with. I've got a humorist that I enjoy spending time with. His name is Greg Kettner. Fantastic guy. I'm working with the church, helping out the young adults. And I'm taking a look at all of these avenues, all of these connections that I'm building and growing during this COVID crisis. And I'm thinking, what an opportunity. What an opportunity. So stick with us. It's going to be fun. I'm going to get going before I say more than I want to say. And I probably already have. So have yourselves a fantastic day. Be blessed and know that I'm with you. I'm right there with you.